And years later, much bigger. Bigger muscles, bigger biceps. So what once was small is now much bigger. Coach Greg, and have you ever wondered what exactly happens to your muscles when they grow? Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain exactly what happens to your muscles, how they grow, what it looks like, so that by the end of the video, you'll actually understand what's going on. You all know that when you start working out, your muscles are small, but after years of hard work training, they get a lot bigger. But what exactly is happening? In today's video, I'm going to explain exactly what happens to your muscle, why it works with visual demonstrations, so that by the end of the video, you'll finally get it. By now, you should all know that you need 3 things to build muscle: water, protein, and energy. And with that, a stimulus for muscle growth, aka going to the gym and lifting heavy weights and putting them down. But beyond that, what exactly is happening within the muscle? So let's take the biceps, for example. When I first started training as a teenager, my biceps, they were a lot smaller. They've grown multiple inches, but how? What exactly is going on inside that arm under the skin where you can't see? Well, first of all, there are 2 types of muscle fibers. Type 1, which is slow twitch muscle fibers, and type 2, fast twitch. If you're a sprinter, you have great genetics to put on a lot of muscle, chances are you have more fast twitch muscle fibers. But if you have more type 1 muscle fibers, you're more suited for cardiovascular activity. It's all due to your genetics. And if we wanted to, we could even divide these muscle fiber types even further. But for the purpose of this video, we're not going to do it. We're going to keep it simple. Type 1 versus type 2. But what happens when you work out, when you lift weights? What's going on within that muscle? Well, your bicep, it's composed of thousands of motor units. Each motor unit either contracts or it doesn't. When you first start lifting a weight or a light weight, the smaller, weaker motor units start firing and contracting. That muscle pulls on a tendon which is attached to a bone and makes your limb move. So when I flex, my muscle belly is attached to a tendon which is attached to the bone, and it pulls my arm up. And the heavier the weight in my hand, the more motor units I have to engage to lift up that weight. And rep after rep, I start to get more tired. And the type 2 muscle fibers, they have to start acting stronger than last time. They come into play. And when you get to failure, they're all going stronger than last time, as many as possible. And the more experience you get, the more motor units you can control and activate. Complete newbie, body doesn't know what to do. Why you lifted that heavy weight? We're not going to friggin' contract motor units, they don't want to. So if you're a newbie lifter in the gym, you will be amazed how much stronger you can get. And it's not because the biceps get bigger, it's because more motor units are coming into play. But as the weeks, months go by, the biceps say, we got to get bigger because this Doucette freaking circle keeps torturing us lifting those heavy weights. So the biceps have no choice but to get bigger. Doesn't know why you're lifting, but it knows it better get bigger to make it easier. And in order to get bigger, there's 2 ways this can happen: sarcoplasmic muscle growth and myofibrillar muscle growth. I'm going to make this easy to understand so you get what that means. The motor units have several muscle fibers, thousands of muscle fibers, and within each muscle fiber, there are thousands of myofibrils. This represents a muscle fiber. See these sticks? These are myofibrils, and the sarcoplasmic reticulum wraps around the myofibril. This pink thing, see? It wraps around it. Within the muscle fiber, there's a lot of water, mitochondria, and other stuff that you don't really need to know for the purpose of this video. To make the muscle bigger, we need to make more stuff within this. So if you start working out, 2 things will happen: sarcoplasmic growth and myofibrillar growth, okay? Both. If you do really light weights, high reps, more so the sarcoplasmic growth, the watery part, let's call it. And if you get more on the lower rep sides, really heavy weights, more so the myofibrillar, the sticks, okay? But typically both are going to get bigger. So you've been training for a month, and guess what happens? One of these myofibrils with the sarcoplasmic reticulum, both get added to your muscle fiber. Boom. And you keep doing this. You keep adding stick after stick. Month after month, year after year, you keep adding more. And years later, much bigger. Bigger muscles, bigger biceps. So what once was small is now much bigger. Now, you can't really get one without the other, but if you focus on really heavy weights for low reps, you're going to get more myofibrillar growth. But if you do higher reps, say 15 to 20, you're going to get more sarcoplasmic growth. So let's say, for example, the average person gets like 50% myofibrillar and 50% sarcoplasmic. The ratios can change. If they train like super heavy, they could go up to say 60% myofibrillar, but then in comparison, it's only 40% sarcoplasmic. Or could be the other way around. So depending on how hard you train, depending on the weights you use and the rep ranges, you can get more or less of the other, but you can't just get one of one kind and none of the other. Now, if you take extra supplements, creatine, steroids, you can get added water growth within the muscle. So you can get bigger muscles, but it's just water weight, which will magically disappear later. So if the muscle's just super hydrated, growth hormone, going to cause more water retention, it can look bigger, but it's not really bigger permanently because it's not forever going to stay that way. As soon as you stop the PDs, the water goes down. It doesn't mean that sarcoplasmic muscle growth is bad. They're both good. You want both. But it does mean that you can temporarily add more water in the muscle to make it more hydrated. Consider if you carb load, add more carbs to your diet, more water, more glycogen stores, the muscles can get bigger and are more pumped up. Compare before and after you go to the gym. Look at the muscles. You're clearly bigger. Did the muscles actually grow though? You're in the gym, you did 20 sets of biceps, and you measure your arm, and it's 1/2 inch bigger. Is it actually bigger? Well, it is. You just measured it, it's 1/2 inch bigger, but it's going to go away. Versus if you add myofibrillar growth, the extra sticks, those sticks, they don't just magically go away. But if you stop working out, the muscles are going to shrink. They're going to get smaller. But if you then work out again, muscle memory occurs and you can get bigger a lot faster. The body remembers how to do it. It already had practice. Practice getting bigger. You train for 3 years. Practice getting bigger. Stop working out and start again. It had already practiced. It remembers what to do. So once you do train, you're going to have that memory. It's already there and it makes it easier. So that's the one beauty of training is even if you stop, you can get it back a lot easier. But what's important to remember is when you first start training, you don't need to train that hard because your body's not used to it. Any kind of stimulus, it just starts growing the muscles. But after you train for several years, you need to train really hard. You need to recruit more motor units. If you stop 5 reps from failure, not enough motor units have been encouraged to start pulling. Think of it as a tug-of-war rope. You're ready to tug a war. You, the person on the rope, are literally the muscle fibers, the motor units, and you're pulling. And you got a 5-year-old kid pulling on the other end. You're like, I got this. And you start pulling. And no problem, the little 5-year-old can't pull you apart. But then on the other end, Eddie Hall jumps in. And you're like, okay, help me out. And a bunch more motor units come in and say, we got this. Then the mountain shows up, starts pulling. More motor units come in and they start pulling. Then there's a freaking 18-wheeler attached to that rope. You're like, oh my goodness, let's all freaking work together. Everyone pull together. All the motor units start working and your body's saying, wow, if 18-wheelers keep starting pulling on this rope, we better get more freaking muscle fibers. We need more myofibrils. Add it to the list. Get stronger, bigger, and better. And then the 18-wheeler's pulling and another 18-wheeler comes on. And the body continuously gets stronger by adding more and more myofibrils, more sarcoplasmic reticulum, more sarcoplasmic growth. That's how the muscles get bigger. It's encouraged to get bigger because there's a greater stimulus, a greater encouragement. Train harder than last time. The body needs to train harder than last time. If the same Eddie Hall keeps pulling, you can handle it. You're not going to get bigger. If that same 5-year-old is the only one pulling, why would your muscles grow? You need more and more stimulus for your muscles to get bigger. And if you keep stopping 5 reps from failure, training half-ass like most people in the gym, you're going to get half-ass results like most people in the gym. Look around at the gym. How many people train look like they got an 18-wheeler on the other end of the rope? Not many. And how many people look jacked like bodybuilders? Not many. Does that mean that all bodybuilders need steroids to look jacked? No, if you have great genetics, you're going to be able to build a lot of muscle without steroids. Obviously, with steroids, all this happens at lightning fast speed. This gets bigger 10 times faster. You can add stick after stick every single day. But if you're natural, it's a slower process. That's why it takes a long time to build muscle. And without PDs, you can't get as big as Ronnie Coleman, 300 pounds, or Big Ramy. It doesn't work like that. But if all your sets are sets of 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, the muscle isn't going to get bigger. It's going to get better at endurance. The slow twitch muscle fibers are going to take over. It's more important that it brings blood to the muscle so it can contract over and over again. That's why the marathon runners, they look a lot smaller. Aside from their genetics that they have more slow twitch than fast twitch, they're training their slow twitch muscle fibers to perform optimally. And some of those fast twitch fibers, they can convert to slow twitch. And if you're training with weight, some of those slow twitch muscle fibers can convert to fast twitch muscle fibers. But it still boils down to genetics. People with the most muscles inherently have more fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fibers. Doesn't mean you can't convert some of them over, but it does mean that genetics plays a large role in how big you ultimately can become. And so hopefully that helps see why the biceps can get bigger with training. You add in more sticks, more sarcoplasm, both that can fit over it, and you shove it into the motor unit and the muscle fiber, and it gets bigger over time. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro. Please click the bloops. Order harder than last time supplements. You know you want it. Training programs, training books, cookbooks, coaching plans. Me and my team. Click the bell button. Subscribe to the video. Write some comments. Helps the algorithm. And until next time, I am out.